We as consumers love reviews, whether it's buying a new car, going to see a movie, or even buying a board game. With thousands of board games coming out every year, people want to know where to spend their hard-earned money and are looking for an honest, objective review. But here's the thing, no matter who does the review, in the end, it's just their opinion. Liking a game or not comes down to a personal preference. Even though we may sit and play the exact same game, you may like it and I may not, or vice versa. Our previous game and life experiences will help shape our opinions on whether we like a game or not. And since we all have different experiences, we may all come to a different conclusion. Thus, in the end, board game reviews are primarily subjective reviews. Here's the thing, notice I said board game reviews because reviews can have different varying degrees of objectivity. For example, recently I went out and bought a new mobile phone. And when I was looking at reviews for phones, a lot of them were very fact-based. What is the size of the screen? What is the resolution of the screen? How much RAM is there? How much ROM is there? What kind of cameras does it have? How many cameras does it have? How good is the camera with it? Can take a picture and look at the histogram of the picture to determine if it's good color or not. All that is 100% measurable quantities, which makes it very objective. In the end, there was very little subjectivity when I was reading these reviews, unless it was maybe like a personal preference of maybe where the fingerprint reader was or where a button was on the phone. But everything else was pretty much objective. Contrast that with, say, a movie review. Sometimes before we go see a movie, we want to know whether we'll like it or not. So you can go to places like Rotten Tomatoes, Metacritic, etc., and read their reviews. Well, beyond the name of the movie, who's in the movie, the runtime, everything else after that's going to be a subjective opinion. Because when you're sitting in the theater and you're watching the story play out and the cinematography and the characters, they may strike you in different ways. The person sitting beside you is seeing the exact same thing and may not have a very good experience while you may be totally enjoying it. So movie reviews tend to be more on the subjective side. There's just not that many quantitative things you can say about a movie that's 100% fact-based. And you know what? Board game reviews tend to be more like movie reviews. Let's look at the things that are fact-based in a board game. The name of the game, when it was published, how many people it plays, the people involved in the game, the artists, designers, etc., the rules of the game, how it plays, etc. That's going to be the same from person to person. But beyond that, well, then you start losing some objectivity at that point. Shoot, even the playing time, you may see on the box, this game plays 45 to 60 minutes. How many of us have ever played a game that didn't match that? Maybe it was quicker, maybe it was longer, depending on the group that you play with. And then once you start playing the game, well, then it comes down to personal preferences. This game is too hard. This game is too easy. I don't like the theme of this game. I don't like the colors of these meeples. I don't like the art of the game, etc., etc. Or somebody else may like every single one of those, and if both of you sat down and wrote a review, you may have totally different opinions about that game. Now, why am I even bringing this up? This is probably pretty much common sense, right? There's probably nobody out there thinking, well, yeah, a board game review is just a person's opinion of a game. You're not really telling me anything here. Well, there's two reasons I wanted to bring this up, and the first one is a little bit of a squirrel, but regardless of who you are, what the format of the review is, or whether you're just talking among friends, your opinion is 100% valid. If board game reviews are just opinions, then your opinion can't be wrong. Now, I will put a little caveat there. The only way your opinion could be wrong is if it's based on something that's not true. For example, let's go back to the phone review. Say, for example, a person wrote a review and said, I don't recommend this phone because it only has 32 gig of storage space and you probably need 64. Well, if in fact that phone had 64, then he based his opinion or conclusion on something that was not true. Now, in a board game, it could be something where a rule is played incorrectly. You make a judgment based upon an incorrect rule. And we've seen that happen before. In fact, I've even done it before. Shock. But let's assume for the sake of this discussion that that's not happening. So everybody's opinions are valid. But there are some reviewers whose opinions may have more value than others. So let me explain what I mean there. For example, on our show, when we review a game, sometimes we'll have a segment called 5-Minute Initiative, where we discuss a game within 5 minutes, tell about the game, give our thoughts, and we're done. Now say, for example, somebody else takes that exact same game and spends 30 minutes talking about the game. They break down all the rules and everything, and when it comes to their conclusion, what they do is they give you a step-by-step analysis of how they came to that conclusion. I like this because of this. I don't like this because of this. So there's a lot of value in that because you know exactly how they got to their conclusion. Whereas somebody else who just said, hey, I played the game, I really liked it, you should try it out. You don't really know the reasons why they liked it. So while all reviews are valid, some do have more value than others. So the second point, if board game reviews are opinions, and everybody's opinions are valid, then there is really no reason to get upset when somebody has a different opinion about a board game than you. I mean, how many times have you seen on social media or forums, etc., well, somebody will say, man, I really love this game. And then somebody jumps in and says, how can you like that game? That game's horrible. Ugh, why would you even play that? Let's flip that, because I've seen it too. Somebody may come in and say, nah, this game just really wasn't for me. Somebody else jumps in and goes, oh, how can you not like that game? That is the best game ever. And then it starts this back and forth thing. Now, if it's one of those things where it leads to a discussion of maybe, why didn't you like it? Oh, okay, well, here's why I didn't like it. But lots of times it just doesn't come off like that. And then people get defensive, right? If somebody says, I like something, somebody says, I don't, then it's almost like it's an attack on that person. How dare you not like that? Are you attacking me personally? No, it's just what you think about a board game. And it could come down to so many different things. Again, play style, how difficult the game is, themes. Some people like these themes, some people like these themes. That's why I have so many different themes. But here's the thing, if a person has an opposite opinion of a game than what I do, it doesn't affect me at all. Nor should it affect my enjoyment or unenjoyment or disenjoyment, anti-enjoyment of the game. It's one of those things, if I let somebody's opinion of a game get to me, that's not their problem, it's my problem. I can control how somebody else's opinion affects me. When it comes to something like a board game, then, well, whatever. But it is easy to get caught up in the, how can you not like this? How can you like this sort of deal? And some people are just very argumentative and like being like that. But I do think it's important to remember that if somebody has a differing opinion, it's not an attack on you or me, especially when it's just something as trivial as a board game. So yes, in the end, board games are just personal opinions of the person reviewing the game. It's a valid opinion, and they're not wrong in their opinion. And if people can learn to respect the right for somebody else to have a different opinion about a board game, then maybe, just maybe, we can learn to respect the right of people to have differing opinions on other topics. But that's just my opinion. I want to hear your opinion. Go down in the comments, let me know what you think about this topic. Are some reviews more objective than others? Where do board games fall in that spectrum of objectivity to subjectivity? And whether you leave a comment or not, if you're not subscribed to the channel, please do so. Give a thumbs up, I would very much appreciate it. Thanks, y'all.